Stop scrolling because the message you have been waiting for has arrived. But there is something you need to understand. The person you think this message is from may not be the person you are truly waiting for. This message carries a warning, a truth hidden beneath your distractions, your fears, and your unfinished emotions. And if you ignore it, you may continue repeating the same patterns while believing you are searching for something new. Have you ever felt like a part of you was trying to get your attention? A sudden memory, a dream that feels unusually real, a feeling you cannot explain, a moment where you realize something inside you is changing. That is not weakness. That is the forgotten voice within you asking to be recognized. The person who sent this message represents something you left behind. Maybe it is a relationship you never healed from. Maybe it is a dream you abandoned. Maybe it is the version of yourself that existed before the world convinced you to become smaller. And now that voice is saying, listen carefully, the time has come. The hidden message within the self is the idea that the most important conversations in our lives are often not the ones we have with other people, but the ones we avoid having with ourselves. When we hear the phrase, I have one message from your person and it's urgent, the natural reaction is to think about someone outside of us, a lover, a friend, someone from our past, or someone we deeply miss. But on a deeper psychological level, this person can represent a forgotten part of our own being that is trying to reconnect with us. Throughout life, we create different versions of ourselves to survive, to gain acceptance, and to meet the expectations of others. We may hide our true feelings, ignore our dreams, suppress our anger, or bury painful memories because facing them feels uncomfortable. Over time, these forgotten parts do not disappear. They remain within us, quietly waiting for recognition. The urgent message is a symbol of this inner voice demanding attention. It may appear through moments of deep reflection, repeated patterns in relationships, emotional reactions that surprise us, or feelings of emptiness even when everything seems normal on the outside. These experiences can be understood as signals that something within us needs to be acknowledged. The message is not necessarily bringing bad news. Sometimes urgency means that an opportunity for growth is approaching, and we cannot move forward while carrying the weight of unresolved parts of ourselves. The inner self may be asking us to remember who we were before fear, rejection, and disappointment changed the way we see ourselves. Many people spend years waiting for someone else to complete them, to understand them, or to give them the validation they never received. But the hidden message reveals that the connection we seek externally often begins internally. When we learn to listen to ourselves, we develop a stronger relationship with our own emotions, values, and purpose. This message from within is a reminder that every forgotten dream, every ignored feeling, and every hidden truth still has a place in our story. The part of us we abandoned is not an enemy. It is a guide carrying lessons we were not ready to understand before. The real urgency is not about someone coming back into our lives. It is about realizing that a part of ourselves has been waiting patiently for our attention. The moment we choose to listen, we begin a journey toward becoming more complete, more aware, and more connected with who we truly are. The urgency of inner transformation is the idea that there comes a moment in life when remaining the same becomes more painful than changing. Many people experience periods where something feels different inside them, even when their external circumstances appear unchanged. They may feel restless, disconnected, or aware that an old way of living no longer matches who they are becoming. This feeling is the beginning of an internal awakening, a signal that something deeper is asking to be transformed. Transformation rarely begins with comfort. It often begins with a question, a struggle, or a realization that the patterns we have followed for years are no longer serving us. We may notice that we keep repeating the same mistakes, attracting similar situations, or reacting from old wounds instead of responding with awareness. The urgent message is a reminder that ignoring these signs will only delay the growth that is trying to happen. Inside every person exists a desire to evolve. However, change can feel threatening because it requires leaving behind familiar identities. A person may have spent years being the one who always sacrifices, the one who hides emotions, the one who seeks approval, or the one who fears failure. Even if these roles create suffering, they can feel safe because they are known. Inner transformation requires the courage to question these identities and discover what exists beyond them. The urgent message is not a demand to become someone completely different. It is an invitation to remove the layers that hide the person you were always meant to become. It asks you to examine your fears, your beliefs, and the stories you have accepted about yourself. Some of these stories may have been created by past experiences, but they do not have to control your future. There are moments in life when the inner voice becomes louder because a new chapter is waiting. A person may feel called to change their relationships, their goals, their mindset, or their understanding of themselves. These moments can feel uncomfortable because growth requires letting go of what is familiar. The urgency of transformation comes from the understanding that time continues to move forward. Every day spent avoiding personal growth is a day spent living beneath your true potential. The message is asking you to pay attention before another year passes with the same fears, the same doubts, and the same unanswered questions. True transformation begins when you stop running from yourself and start listening to what your inner world is revealing. The most important change does not happen when you become someone else. It happens when you finally allow your deepest self to emerge. The shadow that wants to be heard represents the hidden parts of ourselves that we choose to ignore, reject, or hide from the world. Every person carries emotions, memories, desires, fears, and qualities that do not always fit the image they want to show others. These hidden aspects are often pushed away because they create discomfort or challenge the way we see ourselves. However, what we refuse to acknowledge does not disappear. It remains within us, waiting for the moment when we are ready to understand it. Many people spend their lives trying to appear strong, perfect, successful, or unaffected. They hide their insecurities, their pain, their regrets, and even their deepest desires because they fear judgment or rejection. But the parts we suppress often contain valuable information about who we truly are. The emotions we avoid may be pointing toward wounds that need healing, dreams that need attention, or truths that need acceptance. The shadow is not something negative that must be destroyed. It is a forgotten part of the self that carries experiences and lessons. For example, anger that has been ignored may reveal a boundary that has been crossed. Sadness that has been buried may reveal a loss that was never fully accepted. Jealousy may reveal an unrecognized desire or an area where personal growth is needed. When these feelings are understood instead of rejected, they become sources of awareness. The urgent message from this hidden part of ourselves is asking us to stop running away from uncomfortable emotions. Many people try to escape their inner struggles through distractions, constant activity, or the pursuit of external achievements. But avoiding the inner world only gives those unresolved feelings more power. True understanding begins when we have the courage to face what we have hidden. The shadow often appears during moments of change, conflict, or emotional difficulty. These moments bring forgotten aspects of ourselves to the surface because they are asking to be recognized. Instead of seeing these experiences as failures, they can be viewed as invitations to discover deeper parts of our personality. Accepting the shadow does not mean allowing harmful behaviors to control us. It means becoming aware of every part of ourselves so we can make conscious choices rather than being controlled by hidden fears and unresolved emotions. A person who understands their inner darkness can also understand their inner strength. The message from the shadow is simple but powerful. What you reject within yourself will continue to seek your attention. But what you accept and understand can become a source of wisdom. When you listen to the parts of yourself that have been ignored, you begin to create a more honest, balanced, and complete version of who you truly are. The illusion of external validation is the belief that our value, identity, and sense of belonging must come from outside sources. Many people spend years searching for approval from others, hoping that someone will recognize their worth, confirm their importance, or make them feel complete. They may chase attention, achievements, relationships, status, or praise because they believe these things will finally create a feeling of inner security. However, this search often leads to disappointment because no external source can permanently fill a space that exists within. From childhood, many people learn to measure themselves through the reactions of others. They may become attached to being accepted, admired, or needed because these experiences create temporary feelings of safety. Over time, this can develop into a pattern where a person depends on outside opinions to determine how they should feel about themselves. A compliment can create happiness, while criticism can destroy confidence. This creates a life where personal identity is controlled by the changing opinions of the world. The urgent message within this realization is that the approval you are searching for from others may be something you need to give yourself. The desire to be seen and understood is natural, but the deepest form of recognition comes from developing a relationship with your own inner self. When you understand your values, accept your imperfections, and recognize your own growth, the need for constant external confirmation begins to lose its power. Many people believe that the right person, the perfect opportunity, or a certain achievement will finally make them feel complete. They imagine that when they receive that one missing thing, all uncertainty will disappear. But even after reaching those goals, many discover that the emptiness remains because the real issue was never what they lacked outside. It was the connection they had lost with themselves. External validation can become a distraction from the deeper questions of life. Instead of asking, "Why do I need others to approve of me?" a person begins asking, "What part of myself am I not accepting?" This shift creates the possibility for genuine growth and self-understanding. The message from within reminds us that we are not meant to build our entire identity on temporary opinions, changing circumstances, or the expectations of others. People may recognize our achievements, appreciate our qualities, or support our journey, but they cannot define our true worth. The moment a person stops begging the outside world to prove their value, they begin discovering the strength that was already present within them. The greatest connection is not found by convincing others to choose you, it is found by choosing to fully accept yourself. If you feel this message is reaching you at the right moment, comment, "I am ready," and share this with someone who needs to hear it. The symbolic person from your past represents the unfinished emotional connections, memories, and experiences that continue to influence who you are today. Sometimes, when we think about someone from our past, we believe we are missing that person themselves. But often, what we truly miss is a feeling, a version of ourselves, or a part of life that existed during that time. The person becomes a symbol of something deeper that still needs to be understood. Throughout life, certain people leave a powerful mark on us. They may have introduced us to new emotions, changed the way we viewed ourselves, or opened doors to possibilities we had never considered. Even when these people are no longer present, the impact they created remains. Their memory can represent lessons, challenges, love, pain, or personal growth that shaped our identity. The urgent message from this symbolic person is not always about reconnecting with them. Sometimes it is about reconnecting with the part of ourselves that existed when we knew them. Perhaps there was a time when we felt more creative, more confident, more hopeful, or more alive. The memory of that person may be reminding us of qualities we have forgotten within ourselves. Unresolved emotions from the past can continue to influence our present. A conversation that never happened, an apology that was never received, or a goodbye that never felt complete can create emotional weight. These unfinished experiences often remain in the background of our thoughts, affecting our choices and relationships without us fully realizing it. The message carried by the person from the past is an invitation to examine what they represent. Are they a symbol of love that taught us how to connect? Are they a reminder of a mistake that taught us wisdom? Are they connected to a dream or identity that we abandoned? Understanding the meaning behind the memory allows us to gain insight instead of remaining trapped in longing. Sometimes, people return to our thoughts during important moments of change because they represent a chapter of our lives that is asking to be acknowledged. The past is not calling us backward, It is offering information that can help us move forward with greater awareness. The deepest lesson is that we do not need to recreate the past to heal from it. We can honor what happened, accept what cannot be changed, and carry forward the wisdom gained from those experiences. The person from the past may no longer be part of our daily life, but the transformation they inspired can continue to live within us. The true message is not always find them again. Sometimes the message is find the part of yourself that you left behind when they walked away. The moment before a new beginning is often the most uncertain and powerful stage of personal transformation. It is the space between who we have been and who we are becoming. During this period, a person may feel confused, restless, or disconnected because the old identity no longer feels right, but the new version of themselves has not fully developed yet. This uncomfortable space can feel like being lost, but it is often where the deepest changes begin. Every major transformation requires leaving something behind. This could be an old belief, a harmful pattern, a relationship, a fear, or a way of seeing yourself that no longer supports your growth. The challenge is that even painful situations can become familiar, and familiarity often feels safer than uncertainty. A person may know that change is necessary, yet still feel attached to what they are leaving behind because it represents a part of their history. The urgent message in this moment is a reminder that endings are not always signs of failure. Sometimes an ending is the natural conclusion of a chapter that has completed its purpose. The loss of something familiar creates space for something new to emerge. However, this transition requires patience because growth does not happen instantly. There is often a period of silence, reflection, and inner adjustment before a new direction becomes clear. Many people try to avoid this stage by quickly replacing what they lost. They search for another person, another goal, or another distraction to escape the discomfort of change. But avoiding the transition prevents them from understanding what the experience is trying to teach them. The space between endings and beginnings is where self-awareness develops. This moment invites a person to question old assumptions and discover what they truly want. It encourages them to look beyond what they have always done and explore what they are capable of becoming. The fears that appear during this time are not always warnings to stop. Sometimes they are signs that a person is moving beyond their previous limits. A new beginning requires courage because it asks for trust in something that cannot yet be fully seen. The future version of yourself exists as a possibility, not a certainty. You must take steps toward it before you have complete proof that everything will work out. The message hidden in this transition is that change is not taking something away from you. It is revealing something that has been waiting to emerge. The old version of yourself served a purpose, but it does not have to control your future. Every ending carries the potential for renewal, and every uncertain moment can become the doorway to a more authentic life. The power of facing the truth comes from the understanding that personal growth begins when we stop avoiding what we already know deep inside. Many people spend years creating explanations, distractions, and excuses to protect themselves from uncomfortable realities. They may ignore feelings, deny mistakes, avoid difficult conversations, or pretend that certain situations do not affect them. While this may provide temporary comfort, the hidden truth continues to influence their thoughts, emotions, and decisions. Facing the truth does not mean judging yourself harshly or focusing only on your weaknesses. It means developing the courage to see yourself and your life with honesty. Truth creates awareness, and awareness creates the possibility of change. Without recognizing what is happening within us, we continue repeating the same patterns while wondering why the same struggles keep appearing. Many of the things we fear facing are connected to parts of ourselves that we have misunderstood. A person may fear admitting that a relationship no longer brings happiness, that a dream no longer feels meaningful, or that a certain habit is preventing growth. These realizations can feel painful because they challenge the image we have created about ourselves. However, avoiding the truth often creates a deeper form of suffering because it keeps us trapped in situations that no longer serve us. The urgent message within this idea is that truth is not meant to destroy us. It is meant to free us. When we acknowledge reality, we regain control over our choices. We stop living according to illusions and begin creating a life based on understanding and intention. The truth may reveal wounds, fears, or mistakes, but it also reveals strength, wisdom, and opportunities for transformation. Many people search for answers outside themselves while ignoring the questions that exist within. They look for signs, advice, or approval from others, but the most important answers often require quiet reflection and self-honesty. The truth we avoid is sometimes the message we most need to hear. Facing the truth requires acceptance. It means recognizing that the past cannot be changed, but the lessons from the past can shape a better future. It means understanding that mistakes are not the end of the journey. They are information that can guide future decisions. The person who faces their truth gains a deeper connection with themselves. They no longer need to constantly hide, pretend, or maintain an identity that feels false. They become more aware of their values, their emotions, and their purpose. The greatest transformation begins when we stop asking, "How can I escape this truth?" and start asking, "What is this truth trying to teach me?" Because the truth we face today can become the foundation of the person we are meant to become tomorrow. The call to reclaim yourself is the moment when you begin returning to the parts of your identity, strength, and purpose that may have been forgotten or abandoned over time. Throughout life, many people lose connection with their true selves while trying to meet expectations, gain acceptance, or adapt to the demands of the world around them. They may become focused on who others want them to be and slowly move away from what genuinely matters to them. Reclaiming yourself is not about becoming a completely different person. It is about removing the layers that were built through fear, disappointment, and the desire to be accepted. Beneath those layers exists a part of you that still carries your values, dreams, creativity, and inner strength. The urgent message is a reminder that this part of you is waiting to be recognized again. Many people give their power away without realizing it. They allow past failures to define them, allow other people's opinions to control their confidence, or allow painful experiences to convince them that they are limited. Over time, they forget that they have the ability to choose their direction and create a new relationship with themselves. The process of reclaiming yourself begins with awareness. It requires asking important questions about what you truly want, what you believe, and what parts of yourself you have ignored. Sometimes the answers may reveal that you have been living according to expectations that were never truly yours. This realization can be uncomfortable, but it is also the beginning of freedom. Your forgotten self may appear through old passions, unfinished dreams, or feelings that continue to return despite your attempts to ignore them. These signals are reminders that something valuable within you still exists. They are not invitations to repeat the past, but opportunities to reconnect with the qualities that made you feel alive. Reclaiming yourself also means accepting every part of your journey. The mistakes you made, the challenges you faced, and the moments when you felt lost are all parts of your story. They do not erase your worth. They contribute to your understanding and growth. A person who accepts their complete story becomes stronger because they no longer need to hide from themselves. The message is not asking you to become perfect. It is asking you to become whole. It is asking you to stop searching endlessly for approval, direction, or identity outside yourself and begin building a relationship with the person you carry within. The greatest act of reclaiming yourself is choosing to listen to your own voice after years of being guided by fear or outside expectations. When you return to yourself, you discover that what you were searching for was never truly lost. It was simply waiting for you to come back. The message was never truly about someone else arriving to save you, complete you, or reveal your destiny. The urgent message was always a call to look within and recognize the parts of yourself that have been waiting for your attention. Every fear you faced, every loss you experienced, every person who entered and left your life carried a lesson that shaped who you are becoming. The past was not meant to hold you prisoner, it was meant to prepare you. The hidden parts of yourself were not weaknesses, they were pieces of your identity waiting to be understood. The moment you choose to listen to yourself, something begins to change. You stop searching for answers in places that cannot provide them and start discovering the wisdom that already exists within you. You begin to release old patterns, accept your truth, and step forward with greater awareness. So remember this: the most important message you will ever receive is the one that brings you back to yourself. Do not ignore the voice within you that is asking for change, healing, and growth. The person you have been waiting for may not be coming from somewhere outside of you. The person you have been waiting for may be the stronger, wiser, and more authentic version of yourself that is ready to awaken.